friends, it's Miss Lynch. I'm here to help you make a overlap landscape using lines to design your background. So you can take a look here at a finished product. Yours might look very different than this, but here is one example. One thing that we will do is we will show overlap with our hills. You may use mountains or other types of landscape. So what are these words that we're talking about? We've talked about a landscape, an outdoor scene. We've also talked in the past about a use of overlap. Overlap means one thing in front of the other. So if I put my hand in front of this marker, it is overlapping. It means it does not disappear. Landscape, as we said, is an outdoor scene. You can have a landscape of a city, so a cityscape. You could have a landscape in a prairie. You could have an underwater landscape. My first graders have done that earlier this year when we made our fish with all of our sea creatures inside. So we've used landscapes before, but in this sense, we're going to use an outdoor scene, probably not in a city, but you can show overlap in that, which my second graders have done earlier this year. So when you're working in an outdoor scene, there's a few things that are usually considered by an artist. This helps make your artwork more interesting, using something called foreground, middle ground, and background. Foreground is the part of your artwork that is closest to the viewer. So even though these bushes here may be the same as bushes that may be along the bottom of these hills, they appear a lot bigger because they're closer to us. Just the same way that if I put this marker close to you, it looks really, really large, but if the marker is further away, it looks a lot smaller. It doesn't change the size of the marker, but based on how close it is to you, it appears larger. You can see this if you look down your street. Say we walked out to the street on Belmont in front of school and we look towards the lake. The bus stop right by our school would look huge compared to bus stops all the way down the street. There is also a video on my website about foreground, middle ground, background if you'd like to know more about it. When we get to third grade, we're going to do a lot of work on this, but it's nice to kind of know where we're going and some of the terms that we might talk about in the future. So when we're drawing today, your drawing might look different than mine. Here's one that has a sunset in the background. The middle ground has mountains. And the foreground are these hills here. Notice how we can see this cool path going over them. But if you look at this one here, the background would be the sky. The middle ground would be the sun, and the foreground would be the hills. So just because I have a sun in two different pictures doesn't mean that it will always be part of the same part of an artwork. You can take a look at this one. No sunset in this. If you're going to use painting, I like doing the sunset, but here's one that we made in class together when I did this on our live Google Meets. You can see that the background is the sky. The middle ground would be these mountains with snow caps, and in the foreground, the hills. So how do we go about drawing this? Well, we want to start with drawing our hills. Here's one way that people mess up drawing their hills. We're going to draw hills coming into our paper from the edge and to go to the bottom. If they don't touch each other or overlap, there will be an issue. So please watch me now. I'm going to go one side of my paper and I'm going to make like a rainbow shape of a hill. I'm now going to go to the other side, but I want to make my hill touch the other one. Just like we've done before, I would pretend and draw to the bottom here. So now it looks like this hill is in front of that one. I continue to do this. So I can go over here and make another hill. I can go over here and make another hill. Now I have hills going backwards. Now you can decide what you want to do for your middle ground and your background. Maybe you do want to have that really big sunset. That one's pretty fun to work on. So I could make a really big sunset. Now, if I just draw a straight line off, I won't be able to color that in. So I like to make rectangles or wiggly lines to make that sun. You can also make this picture if you want to make mountains. Something I always have fun doing is making mountains. So if you want to do that, again, you have your curved lines. Notice how they look a little different on this one. So every person's will appear a little bit different. So I have my hills. If I want to make mountains, I'll also show overlap so I can make some mountain shapes. I can show overlap by going in between the mountains. I can also just show overlap by just making one mountain touch the other. So these ones look like they're in front of each other. You can always make ones that look smaller in the background. So again, that's showing things in the front that are larger than in the back. When artists talk about that, they talk about two different words called depth and perspective. Something we'll talk about a lot in 3rd grade, but no big deal if you learn those cool words now. Now, if you wanted to make a sunset, you still could make a smaller sunset peeking out of here. I like to usually do like some puffy clouds in here. You could have some that even are overlapping. Now, if I want to make a road or a stream that goes over the hills, I have to think about it. How would that actually look? So I want to go to my furthest hill and I'm going to make a line that will be my road or my hill. So the road or will be a river. So I did one, but I want to make it look 3D. So in order to do that, I will need to go back and make a twin line. I want to make this one very close to the other one. Why? Because this one is further away. Now, if I think about this, this road is going over this hill and it's going to go to the bottom of this hill, which is somewhere down here. And then I want it to come up over this hill. So I can start anywhere on this hill where I think this road might start. And make a twin line, but this one I'll make a little bit thicker. And then if I want it to go onto this one, maybe I can make another line. And I can make it go from small to big. So now it looks like I have a road, or it could be a river if I color it brown, could be a road, if I color it blue, could be a river that goes across each of these, showing overlap. Now's the fun part. The fun part is you can add lines to add decoration. If you just want to color your piece, you can. I really like to add some of these cool lines to make it look very interesting. I colored mine with crayon with some kind of realistic colors, but you could make yours wild and rainbow any way you want. So you can see here, a lot of these are just simple lines. I like to do the hills a little bit larger details because they're closer to me. So maybe I want to do things like spirals. Maybe I want to do things like broken lines. And I could make this go all the way down my piece here. And that will make it look like this is one hill. You could make smaller ones that are inside some of these mountains. So maybe I have curved lines. Maybe you want to make a pattern in here instead. Maybe it's heart, star, circle. I don't know. But you can add cool designs throughout your entire artwork. So maybe I just have stars in here. Maybe I have zigzag, curve, zigzag, curve. So you can make wild, wonderful, cool details. You can see the ones here are really large. When you have smaller things like mountains, they might be bigger. In this one, I just did triangles, zigzag lines, curved lines, wavy lines, and just some little, and here some large curves. So have fun, make your landscape. Can't wait to see you in class this week. Bye.